Welcome. Tonight, leave the noise of the modern world behind. Dim the lights, take a slow, comfortable breath, and allow your mind to wander into a forgotten kingdom where ancient stone castles still stand beneath silver moonlight, where old forests remember secrets long after people have forgotten them, and where one king's greatest regret remained hidden for an entire lifetime. Tonight's story is about the forgotten daughter of a king. Long ago, beyond endless green valleys and beneath towering snow-covered mountains, there stood the peaceful kingdom of Everwin. It was a prosperous land. Its rivers sparkled beneath the morning sun. Its forests stretched farther than anyone could travel in a single season. And at the centre of the kingdom rose a magnificent castle built from white stone. Its towers reached toward the clouds. Its great bells welcomed every sunrise. The people believed their
king was wise, strong, and just. His name was King Aldrich. He ruled for many peaceful years. The kingdom prospered beneath his crown. Yet, there was one story
that no one inside the castle ever spoke about. Many years before, when the king was still a young prince, his beloved queen gave birth to twins, a son and a daughter. The prince was introduced before the entire kingdom. Church bells rang, trumpets echoed through the valleys. The people celebrated for 7 days. But the little girl was never seen. Only a handful of trusted servants knew she had even been born. Then, without explanation, she disappeared from every royal record. Her name vanished from family portraits. Her cradle disappeared. Her room was locked forever. No one dared ask why. Years passed quietly. The prince grew into the kingdom's proud future heir. Meanwhile, far beyond the castle walls, inside a peaceful monastery hidden deep within an ancient forest, a little girl named Ilara grew up among kind monks and gentle sisters. She believed she had been abandoned as an infant. She never complained. She never questioned her life. She spent her days reading old books, planting herbs, and helping travelers who arrived tired and hungry. Everyone admired her gentle heart. She carried a small silver bracelet since childhood. It had no engraving, no family crest, only a tiny blue sapphire set into its center. The sisters often wondered where it had come from. Ilara simply smiled. It has always been with me. She never imagined it had once belonged to a queen. Back inside Everwin Castle, King Aldrich grew older. His beard slowly turned silver. His footsteps became slower. Yet every autumn, without telling anyone, he climbed alone
to the highest tower. He remained there until sunset, looking toward the distant forest, as though waiting for someone who never came.
His closest advisor noticed this strange tradition. One evening, he quietly asked, "Your Majesty, what do you search for each autumn?" The king looked toward the fading sunlight and answered softly, "A promise I failed to keep." Nothing more was ever said. One harsh winter, a violent snowstorm swept across the kingdom. Roads disappeared beneath snow. Travellers became stranded. Food grew scarce in distant villages. Without hesitation,
Ilara left the monastery carrying blankets, medicine, and bread.
For weeks, she travelled through frozen forests, helping strangers. She asked for nothing in return. People simply remembered the young woman with kind eyes and the silver bracelet. News of her kindness slowly reached the royal court. The king listened quietly. Then something unexpected happened. He asked his advisor only one question. Did they say she wore a silver bracelet? The advisor nodded. The king's hands began to tremble. Days later, the king secretly rode into the forest. Not with soldiers, not with servants. Only one old horse and one faithful advisor. At sunset, he arrived at the monastery. There, for the very first time in 25 years, he saw Ilara. She knelt beside an elderly traveller, wrapping a warm blanket around his shoulders. She smiled exactly as her mother once had. The king stood silently beneath the falling snow, unable to move.
Unable to speak, Ilara looked toward the stranger. Their eyes met. She smiled politely. "Would you like some warm soup?" The king tried to answer, but no word came. Only tears. The sisters welcomed the old traveller inside. As they shared a quiet meal, the king noticed the bracelet. His hands shook gently. He reached into his cloak, slowly removing its missing half. The bracelet separated into two pieces when the twins were born. One half remained with the prince, the other with the princess. The two pieces fit together perfectly, without force, without doubt. The room became silent. Ilara looked at the king, confused. The king's voice barely rose above a whisper. "My daughter." The words hung softly in the air. No one moved, no one interrupted. Years of silence ended with only two words.
Later that evening, the king told her everything. Long ago,
A prophecy had frightened the royal court. It claimed one royal child would one day divide the kingdom. Fear overcame wisdom. The advisors convinced the young king to hide his daughter forever. He obeyed. Every year afterward, he regretted that decision. The prophecy never came true. Only regret did. Elara listened quietly. She never raised her voice. She never blamed him. When the king finished, she simply asked, "Were you happy?" The old king lowered his eyes. No. She reached across the table and gently held his hand. Then perhaps we have both lost enough. The following spring, for the first time, Princess Elara entered Everwyn Castle. Not with trumpets, not with celebrations. She walked quietly beside her
Father through the great gates. The servants wept. The people bowed.
The old portraits were restored. A new portrait was painted. This time, the king stood between both of his children. At last, the family was complete. King Aldrich ruled only one more year. When his time came, he left peacefully, knowing his greatest mistake had finally been forgiven. Princess Elara never sought power. Instead, she transformed abandoned towers into libraries. She built hospitals for travelers and planted thousands of trees across the kingdom. The people remembered her, not because she was forgotten, but because she chose kindness over bitterness. Even today, travelers who visit the ruins of Everwyn Castle tell an old story. Every autumn, when golden leaves drift across the highest tower, some say they see an elderly king standing beside a young princess, watching the forest together, at peace. Perhaps history remembers kings for the kingdoms they built, but sometimes it remembers daughters for the hearts they healed. Thank you for joining me on tonight's peaceful journey. May your evening be calm, your dreams gentle, and may forgiveness always find its way home. Good night.